Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everybody. This week I almost had a how I failed to upcycle a piece of furniture video, but I persevered and I pulled through. I am also collabing with a fellow YouTuber. I'm collaborating with Lisa, and you will love her YouTube page because she's got a mix of like family content, but she also has some amazing like home improvement and DIY content on her page. And also have a little look at her Instagram because she has some reels. She recently actually did like this paneling in her bedroom with lights inside. Lots of inspiration if you want to check out her YouTube page and her Instagram. And tonight Lisa will also have a video on her page where she is thrifting or she's making over a thrifted piece of furniture, and I think she has a table, like a console table, but I think her project went much more smoother than mine did. I'm gonna get straight into the video and have the chats after just about a few things I do when I fail or when I'm failing to turn it around. So here is a look at the piece of furniture before. While this looks like it is an antique, it's not. It is a reproduction, and it's made by, there's lots of veneer on it. The frame on the inside is solid wood, but the rest of it is all that kind of chipboard veneer. And you can see that there's a good bit of damage to this piece, but I didn't spend too much on this when I bought this secondhand online. As you can see, Queen Bee is giving it the once over, assessing damage. The first thing I did was strip everything out and give it a good clean, so I took off all of the handles. And you'll also see one of the magic things about when you find or when you buy secondhand furniture is you sometimes find things inside. So I found this old, like, well, not a Polaroid, a negative, is that what you call this? A photography negative, and it's like an old couple standing in front of the Eiffel Tower, and I was like, oh. So I'm just taking off all of the old stickers. Tried to take the hinges off this, but the hinges, the screws were like warped, you know, when they go kind of bald. So my goal for this piece of furniture was to have a really light whitewashed wood farmhouse effect, so you know that really light wood. That's what I was going for, but as I was doing this I was kind of learning that I couldn't get it any lighter than, I got it a few shades lighter than this, which you'll see later in the video. So I did an awful lot of sanding, but unfortunately I could only go so far because this is a veneer, so it was starting to, you know, peel. So underneath it was just like chipboard, and I didn't want to peel off the veneer in case that the wood underneath was like tin framed. Like I think I would weaken the structure altogether. So I sanded it all down, gave it a good clean. As a lot of the wooden pieces were broken on the front, it was easier for me to just remove them. I did buy some small trim in the hardware shop to see if I could repair the trim, but it was too big. I couldn't get wood small enough, so I decided to just pick it all off with a pliers, and I'm just taking out the screws with, I'm actually using an upholstery tool to take out the screws, but you could use your pliers as well. And then I gave the drawer fronts a sanding to get them the same shade as the rest of the piece. Good morning. I'm in focus. I need to go and get some trim to repair the damage that's on the front. I'd say what happened was maybe throughout the years the hinges broke and they were like ripped off. So whoever repaired it just put new hinges on and covered the old ones with tape. You gotta do what you gotta do. Now, question. I'm gonna zoom you in. So on camera, that actual bit of whitewashed wood doesn't look that bad. Basically, I'm torn. I want to take this piece of furniture up a couple of shades, and I thought that maybe putting on this wax whitewash oil, I thought by putting on this, what is it? It's hard wax oil, would lighten it, which it would, but I need to get the orange out of this piece. Now, I actually do like the colour. It's a bit kind of like tiki ashy. I can't sand it anymore because the veneer, this isn't like a solid like wood piece, it's all veneer. So if I stand too close to the corners, you see the like chipboard underneath. So I'm thinking of bleaching the wood. It is to be sunny later today and warm enough because it'll lighten quicker in the sun. But because it's kind of like a veneer, I have to be careful because I don't want it to warp. I want to lighten it, but I don't want it to warp. If this was like a solid kind of wood piece, you could kind of like put lots of bleach on, but I have to be careful. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the hardware store and I'm going to get trim so I can repair. And then I need to make a decision on, yeah, I think I'm going to bleach it once. And if that gets it up a level, great. And then I'll put this wax oil on because I do like the way it goes into the grain. Maybe I just kind of put too much when I was testing this area. But it's part of the process, isn't it? We are learning as we go. But I am happy with getting all the mahogany stain out. I'm not a fan of like the dark mahogany. I just like that lighter tone of wood. Let's go get trim and let's bleach it. I also just want to share a product because what I put on was wax, like the bleach won't penetrate like the dried wax. So I'm gonna just put on a little bit of bio strip, and I use this to strip chalk paint off an old piece of furniture. I'll pop a card to that video here in the corner. So I'm gonna just pop on some bio strip just in the corner where I did the tester so that I can get like a nice overall finish. And you pop it on, leave it for half an hour, and then you just scrape off the wax, give it a wash, and then it's grand, it can go out. Because if I sand off the wax, it will clog my sander. So you can do that, but it will clog it. So pop this on, 30 minutes, scrape it off, good to go. I applied about 3 or 4 coats of half water, half bleach solution, and it did actually work. Where I went wrong next is me I put wax on it, which darkened the whole thing, which you're going to see in the next few clips. But I did manage to almost get it to the shade that I wanted. Doing a little test patch. Well, I can't do a test patch. This just has to work with the oil on top. And as you can see, it's making it darker, which I knew was going to happen. Whether I put on a clear wax, it'll make it slightly darker. Anyway, but this has the white kind of pigment in it, and it doesn't look too bad. I will move this. So that's what the colour I got it up to. Still a little kind of yellowy, like tinge to it. And when I put the waxed oil on, I'll just show you, like it makes it darker, but it's giving me that like whitewash. So I'm going to do 1 coat on the whole piece. So what you do with this is you work it into the wood. Obviously you'd use a bigger brush, this is the little tester, and then like you wait kind of about like 15 minutes. So like by the time you get to here, you can just wipe off the excess and you're just working it into the wood, and you can see the white in the wood. So essentially you're kind of whitewashing it, but this will seal nice and it will protect it and hopefully give a bit of condition back into the veneer. So I have really messed up this piece. Now sometimes what I'll do is if a piece has gone awry, I'll look at it like through the lens of my phone. Like sometimes when you look at things through a new lens, is that a phrase? When you look at life through a new lens? And I'm thinking, what if I paint the light wood slats going across, because that's real wood, it's not veneer. What if I paint it in the same colour as the trim so that it doesn't stick out as much? That's the only thing I can think of right now. I do this when a piece isn't going how I want it. I find it really hard to leave it alone, and I keep picking at it until it's ruined. It's like that episode of Father Ted where they're chipping away at the car and they come back and the thing is bashed. That's exactly me when something doesn't go how I want it. So that is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking paint the wood slats across, but I'm gonna have a cup of tea. Everything's fine after a cup of tea. So we are now starting the repair my mistake process. I decided to paint the pieces of wood that was a different shade, so the bottom pieces and then the panels at the front. So I gave it like this contrasting white trim. I'm using a chalk paint because I had to lightly sand the areas I'm painting because it was wax on it. Like I said, if I put on a normal latex paint, it won't stick to wax. So chalk paint has good adhesion. I generally don't like using chalk paint, but to fix my mistake, that's what I used on this. And then to seal it, I actually just used some lacquer on the white painted areas to seal it. Now, as you can see, Blondie also inspecting. I picked up these furniture transfers by Prima. You will have seen me use these on the IKEA Ivar makeover, and I was like, aha, these will hide my mistakes. So that's exactly what I did. So I love that the floral pattern of this is quite autumnal or something, or quite, it's not too, sometimes when you put like flowers on things, they can look a bit childish, but I think the flowers on this are like kind of grown up. I like the pattern of them, kind of vintagey, and I love that they look like they're painted on, because it would take me forever to hand paint something like this, or to even try and use my Cricut to make this. So they are a good option if you've made a mistake, but I love how they turned out. And there was loads in a packet. I actually still have loads of the floral transfers left over, which I can use on another project, and they're simple enough to put on. They're kind of like decoupage, so you put them on and you make sure that you use the scraper, take off the top layer, and I'm just using the blade to where the drawers separate, I'm just using the blade to cut them so that I can open the drawers. So lots of playing around with this. The thing with, like, as I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I like that decal there, but then I ended up putting it on top. So I always say, like, start less and then add to it, because if you stick them all on and you don't like them, it's very hard to kind of take them off and go again. So I went for in the middle, not too much, not too little, and I still have some left over, so I can add to it if I change my mind. For the handles weren't like in great condition either. I gave them a scrub with some wire wool, and then I'm just using some rub and buff. I have this rub and buff in my kit for so long and it's still going strong. I have loads left. So I used the antique gold rub and buff on the handles, and I love, you'll see when I stick them on, the contrast that I get, and I love how they have turned out. So I want to talk a bit about failing. First of all, there's no such thing as failure. Your biggest lessons come from your mistakes. And I was actually chatting to a lady last week about like digital and kind of online world, and we were saying how I think sometimes nowadays people are afraid to try, or afraid to be seen as like a fail or whatever. I don't like that word, but not getting it as right as you want to. So I think sometimes there is this, oh well, why bother, I can't kind of do that, and you know, that confidence. But I think if you even have I have so much respect for people who just try. You know, there's going to be people who will be on the sidelines critiquing, in the comments critiquing, but I respect the ones who try. And your biggest lessons come from your biggest mistakes. There is magic in the mess. I don't know who said that quote, but I'm saying it again. So generally if it's a project you're working on, especially I always say it when it comes to sewing, because if you make a mistake when you sew, that's how you learn. So if you stick like the wrong sides together, or a right side to a wrong side, like you won't do that again, because you have to unpick it and redo it. So the same kind of for like furniture makeovers or anything in life really. But what I will do is, if I'm working on a piece of furniture, the main reason why my project went wrong was because I was making a piece of furniture for everyone else and not myself. That's why it went wrong. In my head, I was like, oh, there'll be people giving out because I'm painting a piece of mahogany, which is not even mahogany, it's veneer. And there'll be people saying, why didn't you leave it dark wood? Why didn't you leave it light wood? Why didn't you just paint the whole thing cream? And I think with every project and everything you do in life, I'm bringing it back to, we're getting deep today. There's always going to be those voices and you have to silence them out and just say, well, what actually do I want? Because halfway through doing this project, and when it was proper made a mess, I was chatting to my friend Joanne Condon and I was like, can I send you a picture of this and what do you think? And she just said, have fun with it. She's like, it's not wrecked, but like you can just have fun with it now, do whatever you want, like it's, you know. And that's when I had fun with it, where I should have had fun with it from the beginning, and I should have created a piece that I wanted, not that I thought everyone on the internet would want to see, which is ridiculous as I'm saying it out loud, but I think that can happen with spending so much kind of like time online. I think our confidence can actually get knocked, especially when you see the comment section on people's videos. I'm like, geez, they're critiquing. Also, if you're making a mistake doing furniture, lots of tea. Lots of tea. So yeah, step back when you make what you think is a mistake, because it might not be at all. And I think we can go down the crazy spiral of oh god, especially if it's a commission piece for someone. Thank god that wasn't. And step back, regroup, sleep on it, go out for a walk, step away, and then come back and go, okay, what exactly is it I don't like about this? For me, it was the wood was the wrong colour that I wanted, and there was different shades, so I decided to just paint the pieces that were the different shades, and then I had fun with some pattern. I could have just painted the whole thing cream, but I wanted to just have fun with it. And just because you might not like it, someone might like it. You know, I was like to myself, even if I was just like, I'll finish this piece and you know what, I can just sell it if I don't like it. But I actually like it now. So I'm going to move it over and set it up as my makeup little station, because the drawers is great because I can put product in it, and then the flip down table I can do my makeup and then flip it up and hide any makeup bits. So it's great. Writing desks, great vanities. So I'm going to finish the chat there, but I just wanted to emphasize the effort of trying. There's a magic in the mistake. It might not even be a mistake to like somebody else, but you've learned. And also silence out those inner voices, because they're not real. So those voices who, whether you're doing a project, a task, whatever it is, and you're hearing that, oh, you should have done this, should have done that, that's just the ego. Silence it and have fun, and come from a place of fun. Had I just had fun with this project, it would have went way more smoother. So I learned the lesson that I just need to let go, let God, have fun, and silence them voices. Go for it. This week's video wasn't supposed to turn into a motivational speech, but there you go. Also, please do head over and check out Lisa's video. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen her piece of project. I messaged her telling her I was making a mess up with mine, and I saw her before picture, but I haven't seen her after picture. So I'm actually going to pop the kettle and go over and have a look at her channel, and I'm going to have a look at her video as well. I'll pop a link in the description when it goes live. That is me for this week. If you have any mistakes that you learned from that you want to share in the comments, love when you guys share, and thank you for sharing as well. And yeah, share your mistakes and what you learned, whether it's furniture upcycling or life. Anyway, I will see you all in next week's video.